Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. Catherine Pooler has a brand new release called Hey There Honey. It includes stamps, dies, pattern paper, and 2 new ink colors. I have just a few of the new products from the collection. If you want to check out the rest of the release, I will add a link in the description box below. So I'll start off with the 2 new ink colors. We have Amber and Honeycomb. I have both the full size and the mini cubes. I love to have both. And don't forget, when you're buying the new inks, to grab the refills. I have the refills, but I forgot to show them in the video. I did a quick swipe with the new inks on some white cardstock so you can see the beautiful colors. I have 2 of the stamp sets with coordinating dies. This first one is called Sweet Blooms. Lots of beautiful flowers, and I love that they're solid, so you don't need to do any coloring. You just need beautiful inks like Catherine Pooler's. The set also includes 3 sentiments: thanks a bunch, miss you friend, and days with you are the sweetest. And here's a look at the second stamp set. This one's called Sweet as Honey. This set includes several different images, and I love that it has the outline and also the solid. So if you like to color, you have that option, or you could use those solid pieces with Catherine Pooler's inks. There are also 3 sentiments that are perfect with the bee theme. And here's a look at the pattern paper. It's called Hey There Honey. There are 24 sheets, 8 different designs. This is 6 by 6 inches in size, and these are single-sided. You'll receive 3 of each design. So it's very easy to make multiples of the same card, which is something I love doing. So we have the pink paper with the yellow bees. There's a yellow tone-on-tone hexagon pattern, a lovely pink floral, bees, and a beehive. Then a lovely rainbow stripe, some colorful hexagons, a tone-on-tone yellow polka dot design, a green and white geometric design, and then finally there's a beautiful green with white flowers. One of my favorite things about using Catherine Pooler pattern paper, at the bottom of the cover sheet, it lists the Catherine Pooler ink colors that coordinate with the paper. So you don't have to figure it out, they've already done it for you. And since Catherine Pooler's inks are one of my favorites, I do have all the colors. So what goes with the Hey There Honey collection is her quartz, clay mask, whipped honey, honeycomb, and that's one of the new colors, sea foam, sea glass, over coffee, s'mores, and even though it's not mentioned on the cover sheet, the new amber color also works beautifully. Here's another look at just some of the products included in the brand new Hey There Honey release. And there are other products that are part of the new release. If you want to check those out, I will have a link in the description box below. I'll pull out the products again that I have from the new release, and using these new products, I have 4 different card designs to share with you. For card design number 1, I am using a card sketch for inspiration. This is from Reverse Confetti. It's sketch number 53. For the background of my card, I'm using some craft cardstock, and this piece is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. For the strip on the left side, I selected the light pink with bee pattern paper, and I'll layer it on some dark brown cardstock. The dark brown cardstock is by Basil. It's their Java color. And that cardstock layer is an additional 1/8 of an inch. For the wide strip going across the card, using the yellow hexagon pattern paper, and instead of layering that on more pattern paper, I'm adding some Love from Lizzie peel-offs on the top and bottom edge. This is the gold color in pinstripe style, and I'm using the medium width. Now several areas will be covered up with pattern paper, image, and sentiments, so I'm only adding some small strips. This is a great way to use up some of those leftover peel-off scraps. I'll wrap the ends around the back, layer this piece on dark brown cardstock, and that layer is A2 size, 4¼ inches by 5½ inches. I'll put more adhesive on the back and add my card front onto a card base. Next, I'll add the pink and yellow B paper on the left side. And for the image panel, that smallest rectangle, I'll be stamping directly on a piece of white cardstock. And I already have it set up in my mini MISTI. I'm stamping, not sure if it's one of the jars or it's a beehive. I think it's a honey jar, has this cute little bee on top. I'll stamp the outline first, and I'm using Honeybee Stamp's Intense Black ink. And I did stamp it a few times to get a nice solid impression. Now on the opposite end of my mini MISTI, I already have the solid piece set up. But first, I did clean off my stamp, and I'm using a stamp chamois from scrapbook.com. The ink color I'm using is one of the brand new colors, Amber. It's a darker golden brown color. And since this is a brand new ink pad, it's nice and juicy, and I only needed to ink it up one time. Now I'll clean off that stamp and grab the solid, which is this tiny little bee with the wings and legs. I think this is the handle for the top of the honey jar. And I forgot I already have it set up in another mini MISTI. I have several in my craft room since I love to mass produce cards. The ink color I'm using for the bee is Whipped Honey, and I will ink it up 2 times, get a little darker impression, and this color matches perfectly with the yellow hexagon pattern paper. So there's my image all stamped, and I did leave a gap at the bottom. This is where I'll be adding the sentiment. First, I'll layer the image piece on the same dark brown cardstock, and that piece is an additional 1/8 inch. Before adhering it down, I'll put a scrap piece of cardstock on the very right side, just in the area where it goes off of that pink paper with all the bees. That way it stays nice and level and doesn't dip down on the right side. For a sentiment, I've already stamped it on the yellow and white pattern paper. How sweet it is. I'll be adding it at the bottom of the image panel. The right and left side will go off of that image panel, so I do need to add either foam or cardstock pieces on the back side to keep it at the same level. So in the very lower left-hand corner and the right-hand corner, I'm adding some thin foam dimension from scrapbook.com. This is their 1mm thickness. And in the upper right-hand corner and upper left-hand corner, I'm adding a couple small pieces of scrap cardstock. You can use whatever color you have on hand. I had some small pieces of white sitting on my desk when I was making this card. I'll remove the release paper from the foam, put adhesive on the back, and adhere this sentiment in place. I love how this card is coming together. I really like the look of that light pink, yellow, and dark brown together. I already stamped a cluster of 3 hexagons, did the outline and also the solid, and I used the new honeycomb color for the solid. I'll add one in the upper left-hand corner of the image panel, and the other one will go in the lower right-hand corner and sit right above the sentiment. Since that very top part goes off of that sentiment layer, I will add a small scrap piece of cardstock on the back side. I'll also be adding the bee image, but it looks very plain, just with black ink stamped on white cardstock. And even though I rarely color, a small image like this I can handle. I do own some Copic markers. I don't have the full collection, but enough to get by. The ink color I'm using for the yellow of the bee is Y35. For the wings, I wanted a little bit of sparkle, so I'm using scrapbook.com's light blue glitter brush marker. I'll add the bee on top of that lower hexagon cluster. The wings and the head will go off of that area, so I am popping it up with some thin foam dimension. Grab the small foam squares from scrapbook.com in the 1mm thickness. And even those are too big, so I did cut those squares in half. I'll remove the release paper from the foam, put glue behind the body, and adhere the bee in place. Now it looks so cheerful with its beautiful blue wings and yellow and black body. For embellishments, I'm using some mini circle peel-offs from Love from Lizzie. This is the gold color. I'll put 3 in the upper right-hand corner and 2 in the lower left-hand corner. This set includes 3 different sizes, although I'm completely out of the smallest size on one sheet, so I did need to grab a brand new sheet. And for a final finishing touch, I'm using a white gel pen and adding 3 small polka dots on the hexagons. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. For card design number 2, the card sketch is from Sketch Saturday. This is number 773. And if you are interested in any of the sketches I use in this video, I share all of that information on my coordinating blog post. The link is in the description box below, or you can simply head over to KristieMarcotte.com. For the background of my card, using the white and green triangle paper. For the large rectangle, I'm using the yellow and white polka dot paper. I'll be layering that on some white shimmer cardstock. And even though you'll only see that tiny bit around the yellow paper, it does add a beautiful shimmery touch. I'll adhere the yellow and white polka dot panel on the background, then layer that piece on some green cardstock. This is green cardstock from my stash. I'm not sure of the brand or color name. The triangle pattern paper is 5 1/4 inches by 4 inches, and the green cardstock layer is A2 size. Now I'll put adhesive on the back and add my card front onto a card base. For the image box, I cut out the beehive, pink flowers, and bees. Layered it on some brown cardstock, that way it really pops against the background. And for that back angled layer, I'm using some light pink cardstock. I'm not following the design of the card sketch exactly. I'm putting the image panel on the left side. I'm not adding the narrow strip and bow or the oval. I've already stamped and cut out the sentiment, "Hope your birthday is sweet." And I stamped the sentiment with the new amber ink color. I'll layer the sentiment on the same dark brown cardstock, and I'm adhering it on the right side. The very left side of the sentiment will sit on the right end of the featured pattern paper. To adhere it down, I'm putting some foam dimension on the right side, and I'll add a scrap piece of cardstock on the left side. I'll remove the release paper, put barely art glue on the left side, and adhere it in place. I've already stamped and cut out one of the flowers, beautiful pink flower, and I'll add it in the lower right-hand corner of the sentiment. The petals will go off the edge of that sentiment, so I will put some foam dimension on the back side, and this time I'm using 2mm foam. I'll remove the release paper, put glue behind the center of the flower, and adhere it in place. For a final finishing touch, using more Love from Lizzie peel-offs, this time the mini heart style in gold. I'll add 2 hearts above the sentiment on the right side using the medium and the smallest size. Then I'll add 1 more small heart on the left side of the sentiment. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. I'm enjoying this pattern paper so much. It's perfect for spring and summer cards. For card design number 3, the card sketch is from Cards TV. This is sketch number 53. I selected 2 pattern papers for the background. The rainbow stripe paper is the narrow strip that will go on the right side, and the wider strip is the yellow with white polka dots. I'm adding both of them on some green cardstock, and that green cardstock layer is an additional 1/8 of an inch. So 4 1/8 of an inch by 5 3/8 of an inch. For a little bit of separation and shine between the two pattern papers, I'm adding a Love from Lizzie peel off. This is the gold color in pinstripe style, and I'm using the widest width. And since I am covering up that top portion with the image, I was able to use some of the smaller scrap pieces. Then I'll put ATG tape on the back and add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. Next, I'll add a large stitched circle die cut, and I did use some white shimmer cardstock for the circle. I'll put glue on the back, adhere it in the upper left-hand corner. I'll be adding the sentiment, "Thanks a bunch." I used the S'mores ink color and stamped it on white cardstock. I'll cut the right side at an angle for some extra interest, layer the sentiment on the same green cardstock. And on the cardstock layer, I'll also cut the right side at an angle. Before adhering it down, I'll put a scrap piece of cardstock behind the sentiment on the right side, just in the area where it goes off of the circle die cut. Just to save time on the video, I've already stamped and cut out several of the flowers and leaves, and these are from the Sweet Blooms stamp set. Since I use the inks that coordinate with the pattern paper, you can see how beautifully they go with that rainbow stripe on the right side. The only flower I'm popping up is the large pink flower. I put thin foam dimension on the back. I'll lay out those 3 larger flowers first, glue down the leaves, tucking in the ends underneath the flowers. Then one by one, I'll add the flowers. That 3 small cluster I'll put underneath the orange flower. And once I have all the leaves and flowers adhered, I'll finally add the largest pink flower, remove the release paper from the foam, and adhere it in place. I use both green inks for the leaves, so it has a nice variety of colors in the bouquet. For embellishments, I'm using more Love from Lizzie peel-offs, the mini circle style in gold. I'll put 3 circles around the sentiment, then 2 circles underneath the flowers on the left side. So there is my finished card, and again, I did make 2 using this design. I love the new Sweet Bloom stamp set. The flowers and leaves have amazing detail, yet they're so easy to use, especially if you have the coordinating dies to cut them out. Now moving on to card design number 4. If you're using Catherine Pooler pattern paper and you find you don't have the exact color of cardstock, you can simply make your own with her inks. So I'm using the amber ink color and swiping it against some white cardstock. Now I will let it sit for a few minutes. And you may notice in the video that darker color did get lighter as it dried. Now using my trimmer, I'll cut 2 narrow strips. They're about 3/4 of an inch by 4 1/4 of an inch. I'm using them for layering, so you'll only see about 1/8 of an inch of those strips. Across my card, I'm adding a wide piece of the rainbow stripe pattern paper. This piece is 2 3/4 of an inch by 4 1/4 of an inch. I've already stamped out the sentiment, "Hey there, honey," and also the little cluster of hexagons. I did stamp on some white shimmer cardstock, so I made sure to let that sit for a few minutes to dry completely. Don't want to smudge the ink. I'll add the sentiment strip on the rainbow paper, leaving a wider amount at the top. Then for a little bit of separation and shine, I'll put a Love from Lizzie peel off along the edge of the white panel. This is the gold color in pinstripe, and I'm using the narrowest width. I'll wrap the ends around the back, and now I'll layer this piece on my inked strips. So I'll put adhesive on the back, line up the pattern paper with the inked cardstock piece. So now you can see only about 1/8 of an inch peeking out. And I'll do the same thing with the other inked cardstock piece. And I realize right here my cardstock piece isn't quite as wide, but that's okay, it still works out just fine. I'll be adding this piece on the colorful hexagon pattern paper, and that piece is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. So before I can add the rainbow piece, I first need to layer the background on green cardstock. And that green cardstock piece is A2 size. So I'll put ATG tape on the back, layer the pattern paper piece on the green cardstock. Now I'll add my stripe piece with the sentiment, and I'm putting it closer to the bottom of the card, about 1 inch up from the bottom. I'll put ATG tape on the back and add my card front onto a card base. I will be adding a couple of stamped images on the left side of the sentiment. So I'll set aside the card, grab a mini MISTI, and I already have 2 stamps all lined up in it. I've already stamped the outline of the jar with the bee on the inside. The first stamp I'll do is the honey that will be inside the jar. And I love how this solid piece doesn't go all the way to the top. And I'll be adding 2 jars. I wasn't sure how many I wanted, so I did stamp out 3 to start. I'll clean off that first stamp, flip around my mini MISTI where I already have the second stamp lined up. Next, I'll stamp the little cloth wrapper for the top of the jar using 2 different ink colors, clay mask and seafoam. And this is a really fun stamped image since it has an etched out area to add a little white twine bow at the top of the jar. We'll make sure to clean off the stamp before changing ink colors. And with my finger, I'm wiping the stamp. Want to make sure it's nice and dry. I only use water with my stamp chamois, but I still need that stamp to be completely dry before inking it up. So there are the 2 jars all stamped out, and the ink color will lighten as it dries. Using the coordinating die, I'll cut out both of the jars of honey. So now I'll grab my card and I'll add both of the jars of honey on the left side of the sentiment, starting with the green top jar that will go on the left side, and the orange, more of a peach colored jar will go on the right side. For this card, I decided to keep it fairly flat. I'm not adding any foam dimension. Always good to have some cards on hand that you can mail without paying additional postage. And for a little more detail, I also stamped out the little honey stir stick, and I colored it with a Copic marker. I used the E35 color. I'll put glue on the back and add that piece underneath the jars on the left side. For a final finishing touch, using a small scrap piece of the green cardstock, I'll cut a banner. First cut the fishtail on the bottom, then cut the right side in slightly at an angle, flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. I'll put Barely Art glue on the back and adhere it in the upper right hand corner. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. This is one of my favorite cards. I love the image of the jar of honey with the bee. Now here's another look at the 8 cards I made using Catherine Pooler's brand new Hey There Honey release. There are several stamp sets, lots of dies, plus 2 new ink colors, Honeycomb and Amber. If you are interested in any of the products I used in this video or want to check out the rest of the release, I do have links in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.